Hello, this is Adam Began, and I'm the host of Historically Haunted Show, where I talk about some very rare historical and haunted locations that I visited. I also interview some of the very best in the paranormal and cryptozoology field. So tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Paranormal King Radio Network. And prepare to be educated about the unknown. Hey, historians, welcome back to another great episode of the Historically Haunted Show on the one and only Paranormal King Radio Network. I just want to say we're going to have next week off because of 4th of July. So I had to get a power hitter in here. I had someone I've been on his show, and I want you guys to really hear what this guy's got to say, because he's been through a lot of adversity. He's triumphed a lot, and he knows his shit. He is the Shadow Initiative a co-host with Stephen Lancaster. He is Rick Hale. He does the podcast, but he's very much involved in paranormal study. He's very much involved in his own thing, the Ghost Watch. And we're going to talk more about that right now. Let's jump right into it. What is up, Rick Hale? How are you, brother?
Hey, Adam, how are you? Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, my pleasure, brother. My pleasure. I'm good. We had a lot of fun on your podcast when I was a guest, and I wanted to return the favor because we talked a lot, and I get to know you, and I get to follow your page now, and I see that you're involved in so much. So this is a treat, man. I'm glad you could come on. How are you feeling, man? How's everything going?
Everything is going well. We're in the thick of summer right now, and living in northern Illinois. I live about 35 miles north of Chicago, and it's like 95 degrees right now, and it's hot as hell. I don't do well with summer.
Yeah,
I'm totally a fall and winter kind of guy.
Yeah, and Windy City, right? I mean, but it does get warm in Midwest America still, especially this time. The humidity. Yikes! And you know me, like we talked on your show. I'm a big Chicago Bears fan, so I'm jealous. I'd love to get there and see Mike Dicker's restaurant and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
Let's get a little personal, if you don't mind, just because I know you, and some of our guests might not know you, but obviously you're an author, paranormal investigator, a podcast host, but you're also a cancer survivor and an amputee. So let's talk about how that's affected you in the field and how you've overcome adversity with those in your life.
Yeah, in 2016. Well, first off, I always want to be an advocate for the disabled in the paranormal field, because it's something that affects all of us, and you can regardless of what your disability is, there is a place for you. So with me, it started in 2016, and I had just come back in from a run, and I took my shoes and my socks off, and I'm getting ready to go to work, and my wife looks down at my left foot, and she's like, "What is that?" And I had a bump that was on my left ankle. So we went into the doctor. The doctor was like, I'm going to send you to a surgical oncologist. Whenever you hear the word oncologist, the word oncologist, you're sort of like, holy shit, that's a cancer doctor. I'm sorry for swearing.
No, you're all good, brother. It's uncensored. You're all set.
Oh, okay, cool. So, you're like, holy shit. So I went in. They opened it up, took a look at it, and they diagnosed me with a rare form of soft tissue cancer called synovial cell sarcoma. And the only way that they could save my life, because it was already stage 4, they had to take my leg below the knee.
Oh,
yeah.
God,
so I mean,
Rick.
It's cool, because it's like, I got like this really great robot leg. So it's like, I'm still able to get around and do a lot of the things that I was able to do before. Just you kind of got to take things a little bit slower. It came back again in the summer of 2019, and they had to remove the left part of my lung, or the lower left part of my lung. So but as of last month, or just 2 or 3 weeks ago, I am 3 years cancer free now. So I'm gonna try to keep that going. But it's like it's really important. Like I said, it's really important for me to let people know who are disabled that there is a place for you in this. If you are blind, your hearing may be enhanced. So,
Yeah.
You may be better at hearing EVPs, things that, something
Yeah.
that somebody else is not going to catch. If you're deaf, your sight might be enhanced a little bit. You're able to, see things a little bit better in pictures.
Crystal Lee, someone I know who's on a paranormal team. I think it's Silence Paranormal. She's a deaf investigator from Massachusetts. She's
Oh,
deaf, and she's an interpreter when she goes on shows and stuff. But
okay.
I met her at the Warren Con last year, and she's deaf, but she's amazing. I'll have to send her your way. You'd like her. She's a good chick.
Yeah, I'd really like to get to know her, because I think that there needs to be more representation for the disabled in paranormal land, as I like to call it.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Real quick, we're getting a lot of God
Sure.
blesses in chat, Rick. There's a chat
Oh.
room. We got Charles, and people are saying, like King, when we just talked to Ross, my boss, he says he had no idea. God bless you, Rick. What a story.
Thank you.
Wow, a survivor. And like you say, I think it's good. I think it's good that we got girls in the field now, and a lot of people of color are coming to the field. And now I think it's time for let's have us all. It should be for everyone, kids too, like whatever, right? No limit.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to kids, let's.
Well, maybe not kids.
Yeah, like older teenagers. Sure, I was 17 years old when I did my first investigation.
Yeah.
But so it's like there needs to be more representation in the paranormal field. More women in the paranormal field, more LGBTQ in the paranormal field, more people of color in the field, and definitely people with disability, because this really affects all of us in every single way. And even on television, you need to see more people from different walks of life.
Yeah. And I'm willing to bet everybody listening and everybody out there has got someone in their family or friend that's disabled or gay or black or whatever. So no one's perfect. We're all a mixing pot. And the more the merrier. As long as you're a good person, that's all it comes down to it. As long as you're fucking decent, I don't give a shit what the fuck you look like or what you are. Just be cool. That's it. You know what I'm saying? People are like Nicole. She's in chat. Nicole Gaspard. She has a show here on Wednesday nights, Real Haunted Connections. She's got disabilities too and stuff like that. She actually's got COVID right now. So thoughts to you, Nicole. Thank you for tuning in. I know you got COVID. I know you got disabilities too. So, and King, give her a show.
I hope you feel better.
Thanks for believing in me, King. So that's good. Yeah, Rick's a good person to have on your side. Check out Rick Hale. Let's jump into some stuff. We'll touch back on that in a minute, but just let everybody know I know what you're part of. You're part of the paranormal studies, but you also do your own thing. Let's talk about that a little bit, the Ghost Watch and stuff like that.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, Stephen Lancaster, my partner in the paranormal field, he comes to me a couple of years ago. Now, keep in mind, I had been in the early invasion of paranormal podcasts in the early 2000s. I hosted and co-hosted a couple of shows, and so I had gotten out of it for a long time. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, so it's like I didn't want to do it anymore. So Stephen comes to me about 2 years ago, and he's like, "Look, man, I want to start doing this show. I'm going to call it the Shadow Initiative, and it's like I need a co-host." And I'm like, I don't really do that kind of thing anymore. He's like, "I know that, but I have all these people, but I keep coming back to you because, frankly, I can't find anything wrong with you." So it's like, but that's how I am. It's like what you see is what you get. There's nothing, for me to hide or try and be what I'm not. So we started doing it, and started on YouTube. It's called the Shadow Initiative Paranormal Talk TV. Sometimes we do both. Sometimes we just call it talk, or we call it TV. But yeah, we started doing that, and it really took off from there. I had already been writing for a couple of years with Tim Woolworth, paranormal study. I also write for SpookyIsles.com, which is a website all about the United Kingdom and Ireland. That
Yeah,
just
Spooky
focuses
Isles. I was going to
on,
bring that up too. That you do
yes,
Spooky Isles.
yeah.
And real quick,
I've
for those
never,
of you listen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, I've never been to the United Kingdom or Ireland, but I know a lot about their haunts, and I can explain why that is.
Wow,
But
you answered my
what were you
question.
gonna ask?
I was going to ask if you were from there because you're so involved in. I was asking if you were from there or you got a
No.
family, but you've never actually been. No shit. Because you know a fucking ton
Yeah.
about Ireland. Wow, no shit. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well,
What you were saying.
no, what I was going to say is, as far as, writing for the Spooky Isles and all that, and knowing a lot about, haunted places and folklore and legends of the United Kingdom and Ireland. When I first got interested in the paranormal, which was in 1982, I was 8 years old after witnessing and interacting with the apparition that was in my grandparents' house. And
Really?
yeah. And
Whoa.
back then you couldn't just go into any bookstore or any library and find, stacks and stacks of books on the subjects of ghosts or hauntings. Here in the United States, it was still very much considered a taboo subject. But I did come across, books by British authors, Elliot O'Donnell and Guy Lyon Playfair and Peter Underwood, and of course there was also, Hans Holzer, who, German American. But Peter Underwood was the one that really caught my attention. And I guess you could say he is kind of like my hero in the paranormal field. I've really patterned a lot of my writing as well as my investigative skills off of him. And that's where Ghostwatch comes from. It was a segment that he did on BBC One Radio back in the early 80s called Ghostwatch. And I wanted to do this. I wanted to carry on that work for the show, but I wanted to do it right. So my publisher, Mandy Collins with Bayou Lathris, she is friends with Adam Underwood, who is Peter Underwood's grandson. So I actually got the official thumbs up from the Underwood estate to continue doing this. So that's kind of like,
no way.
Yeah, so that's kind of like a real crowning achievement for me.
So that's like is that his descendants? Is that like his descendants that own that? They gave you the permission?
It's his grandson. His grandson.
Holy shit. Oh, that's what you were saying. Yeah. That's right too. No, that's right too. I'm stoned and I smoked a joint. So yeah, I know. I heard you. So yeah, that's a descendants. We're talking blood from. This is like the Ed Warren of Europe, like in a way. Wow.
Well, not exactly. He wasn't a demonologist or anything of that sort. But no, not at all. He did do vampires, and which is my second great love in the paranormal. But yeah, as far as like British investigators go, like the old school investigators, they really were more focused on survival of the intelligence after the death of the body. That was their field of expertise, and that's the way that I've modeled it as well. It's not that I don't believe in that kind of thing. I've never dealt with that, thank goodness. But myself as an investigator, I'm more interested in psychic ability as well as survival of the intelligence after the death of the body, and that's because I patterned myself off of these great British investigators of the past.
Wow, that's some deep shit. I told you guys we had a good guest this week. Wow. You. Yeah, no, that's the way to do it, because a lot of these people just go for the Hollywood. A lot of these people want to be the Zach Bagans and just be up there with their fucking little GQ pants and little necklaces and go, here we are, guys. And it's kind of bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Are you in it for the bullshit TV spotlight? Or are you in it for the real stuff? And you dig deep with your stuff about the city of Chicago and, like you say, Ireland and all that good stuff. Okay, so we did have a question, which I guess would. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Adam, I know that, people have a tendency to really bag on the television shows. And, I do have a tendency to, to disagree with a lot of what I see. But if there's one good thing that came from the television shows, is that it opened up people's minds and eyes that these things do exist and that they deserve to be looked into a little bit more seriously. So, if anything, that is the good that the television shows have done.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess in a way, like you said, and it's kind of brought it to mainstream, like you said, in 1982, before Ghostbusters and shit came out, the stuff that you saw was taboo, so you had to kind of look elsewhere, otherwise you'd be a wackadoo. But now it's a little bit more mainstream, I guess, which can be good if you find the right people.
Yeah.
We had a question in chat, Nicole. She asked a little bit. She wants to know if you've had any attachments or if anything's ever followed you home that you're aware of.
I've never had any. No, I've never had never had anything like that happen. And here's why. When I do an investigation, I do not become emotionally involved at all with the investigation, or with the family that's involved. I think that when people do become emotionally involved, that's when attachments happen. Or like people, they go into these places and they're yelling at the ghost, and they're speaking harshly or whatever. I mean, I think that would cause something to maybe attach itself onto you. But yeah, never had anything like that happen, thank goodness, and it's only because I remain completely objective. I am not there to believe or disbelieve. I am there to merely observe, document, and report. That's it.
I love that. I love that you're not full onto it. Like, oh my God, an orb. But, ooh, what was that? But at the same time, you're not like, oh, no, ghosts don't exist. Like you say, you're kind of in the middle. You're kind of like, I just want the scientific part. Is it fucking real or not? I don't, and that's, also, I just want to let everybody know in chat, and I appreciate you guys every week. Charles Fulton checks in and says hi. Witch and Life Guide, which is my girlfriend Heather Caminiti, says hi. Nicole, Melissa
Hello.
Keene, Mike Davis, John Anthony, Paranormal King, and UFO Fred. You know Fred Richards? Any chance UFO Fred is UFOologist? He used to work with MUFON. I think he still does a little bit, but
don't think so. I'm sorry. Ufology is something that is a relatively new thing for me. Typically, it's like, yeah, it really is. It's not something prior to 1995. It really wasn't in my repertoire. I'm starting to have a little bit more interest after my son and we had a sighting last week, and we were driving to the library, and both of us look up in the sky, and there's this thing, like this object. It looks metal, and it's sort of rotating in the sky, and then it has like this really bright white light. And I said to my son, he's 11 years old, he's sitting next to me in the truck, and I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's a plane. And then he's like, oh, it's it's like, that's not a plane. I'm like, no, it's not. So we actually watch this thing. It's like moving back and forth. At first I thought too, I'm like, okay, maybe it's a Mylar balloon, but this thing is not reflecting light. It's giving off light. Yeah.
No fucking way, Rick. So, well, you're not by O'Hare or nothing, right? You're not by O'Hare or nothing.
Well, we are. We are. That's what I'm getting to. We are in the flight path of O'Hare, and we have several other different little private airports that are in the area, as well as Flight for Life, which is like the air ambulance. It's headquartered not too far from where we live. So it's like I am very much aware of what airplanes and helicopters and all that look like. But here's the really interesting thing. My son whips out his phone and starts recording it. I was going to say taping it, and not taping it, but starts recording it. And you actually see in the video, and I haven't posted the video because it shows a water tower, and it has our town's name on it, and I don't want to, I don't want to, reveal where we live.
Yeah, so, I don't blame you.
Yeah. So it's like we actually watch this thing move, and then it just disappears. It's just
without a trace? What? That's not normal, Rick. Yeah. That's not normal, brother. Wow.
It was pretty cool. That was like the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. Like Fred? I said, I do.
He's listening. He's a UFOologist. I mean, he's traveled to New York, and he's looked for the Adirondacks and shit looking for these things, Betty and Bonnie Hill, New Hampshire
Mm-hmm.
sites and shit. So that's your first
Now,
major experience with that, huh, Rick?
yeah, that was like the first time I've really seen anything that's like, it's like I look at it, I was looking at it, and I was gobsmacked, I guess, to use a Britishism, but I was. And
Yeah.
even my son will insist this was not an airplane, it was not a helicopter, it was not a Mylar balloon, and it was not a drone, because we see people flying drones around here all the time.
Oh yeah.
This was
that's
something
true.
that I cannot explain. I don't know what it was. And he and I both will tell you what we saw was a UFO. Now, UFO, of course, being, an unidentified flying object. I mean, we're not necessarily saying alien, but it was
You don't know
something
what it
that was
was. It wasn't your
unidentified.
average aircraft. Yeah. And he at first said
Yeah.
plane, and then he corrected himself, going, maybe I'm fucking wrong here, because this is something
Yeah.
we've never seen. And that's crazy, brother. Fred
So
will investigate.
I reported. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, they were saying. Also, someone else was asking if what are your thoughts on cryptids like Bigfoot and like what's in Illinois? Is there any sort of cryptid creature lore? I know Detroit's got the name Rouge in Detroit.
Yeah,
Michigan,
we have had some sightings of Bigfoot, the big
okay.
muddy monster, for example. In Enfield, Illinois, there was the Enfield monster. I personally think that it was an escaped kangaroo because of the way it was described. I think it may have been an escaped kangaroo. But
No shit.
because at the same time that this happened, there were kangaroo sightings in Chicago. Like my mother-in-law, I actually asked my mother-in-law because one of them was in 1974, and I asked my mother-in-law about it, and she's like, "Yeah, I kind of remember hearing about that."
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, escaped kangaroos. But as far as like cryptids are concerned, with like Bigfoot, for example, the way Bigfoot is described is this is a creature that actually did appear in the fossil record hundreds of thousands of years ago, called Gigantopithecus. Yeah.
Yep.
And he came, some people think that he may have came over the land bridge from Asia and from Siberia, and, may have devolved a little bit or shrank here, and that this, Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever you choose to call him, is actually a descendant of Gigantopithecus. Whether or not that's true, I'm not a paleontologist or an expert in that, but just
it's a cool theory, though.
Yeah,
it's a cool theory.
Just the way it's described.
I've heard everything from Bigfoot and aliens attack with the paranormal as to saying that the aliens are our future and our Bigfoots are our past, like Neanderthals, and we're in the middle, almost like the time travel. I've heard theories like that. I want to touch on something, Rick, because dude, I could talk to you for 3 hours. I know that because I'm already telling we got a half hour to go. But I want to talk real quick, go back, rewind a little bit to when you first saw your first attachment, or I'm sorry, figure. Was at your grandfather's house? Let's talk about that if you don't mind. I'd love to hear that story. Your first apparition you saw.
Yeah, it was at my grandparents' house in Franklin Park, Illinois. Franklin Park, Illinois is a smaller city on the northwest side of Chicago. So it's a very old community, and the house that my grandparents lived on was on Pacific Avenue. It's no longer there, unfortunately. And so it was 1982, and my parents had just gotten divorced. And my dad was living with my grandparents in Franklin Park. Soon he would move to Chicago. So I kind of grew up between Round Lake Beach, which is in the far northern suburbs, where my mom lived, in Chicago, where my father lived. But at the time, he was living with my grandparents in Franklin Park. So my cousin and I, we had just went to bed after watching the Cubs lose another game. And,
Poor Cubbies.
Yeah. So my cousin, he fell asleep right away. But I'm very much a night owl, even when I was a little kid. And so in my grandparents' house, it was the front room, and then there was a kitchen in this long, dark hallway with a bathroom on one side and one bedroom on the other. And this hallway did not have a light in it, so my grandmother would always leave the light in the bathroom on for us. But they never really used that bathroom because they had a bathroom in their bedroom. They're like a half bath. So I get up, I got to go to the bathroom, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I can see what looks like movement in the bathroom, like somebody's moving around. The only people in the house that night was me, my cousin Chris, who was asleep on the couch, and my grandparents who didn't even need to use the bathroom. So I'm getting closer to the bathroom door, and then all of a sudden the light just shuts off, like click, and it's like it is
Oh boy,
dark in this
yeah.
hallway. Yeah, and all of a sudden, like this woman just walks out of the bathroom, and it wasn't my grandmother because my grandmother was a very short woman. This was a very tall woman, and she turns, looks down at me, touches my chin, and says with a very thick Irish accent, "My, what a fine young lad."
Oh Jesus, Rick! I got fucking goosebumps. Are you?
And then no, I'm not. I'm not kidding you. I'm totally serious. And I watch her as she just turns and walks towards the kitchen and fades away.
Wow.
Now, the very next morning, I'm talking to my grandmother, and I told her what I saw. And my grandmother was from Alabama, and she had a very simple way of explaining things to us kids. My grandmother lived for her grandkids. And she was like, "Oh, that's Mrs. McNett. You don't have to worry anything about her." So my grandmother had seen this spirit herself. My uncle had seen this spirit, and everybody in the family, everybody in the family had some kind of experience. And Mrs. McNett was the wife of the man who owned the building my grandparents lived in, and he was still alive. She had died about 10 years previous.
They identified her as her, and that's why I was going to ask you how they knew the name, but they identified it as the lady.
Yeah, because my grandmother had seen her numerous times.
That's old school lad too. They called little boys lads back in the fucking 1930s and 40s and shit. That's old school, right?
Yeah.
Like lads, old school, like term.
She was
holy shit, Rick. Wow.
Yeah, she was maybe 62, 63 when she died. I believe she died of cancer. But yeah, and she was from Ireland, and that was like my first experience of I witnessed and interacted with this apparition, and that just kind of like set off the rest of my life. That this is my interest. This is what I want to read up on, and I was lucky that I had not only the Round Lake Beach Public Library, but I also had the Chicago Public Library as well. So it's like I had these two great libraries that did have books on the paranormal. So probably from about the time I'm 8 years old to about the time I'm 17 was spent time reading and learning about what I had seen, how to deal with it, and look into it myself. And my first investigation came when I was 17 in September of 1991. And it was at a friend's house who had this girl come to live with her. She was this woman. She was older. This woman, she was involved in a church ministry that helped kids get out of bad situations, out of like cults and the occult and stuff like that. She tells me, she's like, ever since this girl, we'll call her Stacy, the girl's name. That's not her name, but so ever since Stacy came to live with us, we've seen like these shadows in the house, and we've seen things move, and it gets really cold. And she's like, I know that you're into this kind of stuff, although at the time I was sort of going through a religious phase. She's like, I know you have an interest in this kind of stuff, so we want you to come over and look into it. Tell us what's going on in our house. So I go there, I talk to Stacy, and she tells me that she was part of this satanic sex cult, and that she was pregnant with the leader's child.
You hear that, King? A satanic sex cult. But King loves demons and Satan shit. Satanic sex cult, dude. King, listen, everybody listen. Satanic sex cult in this chick's pregnant with the leader's fucking Damien. All right, go ahead, Rick. Holy
Oh,
fuck.
sorry, that's my dog. Yep, sorry, that's my dog.
Oh, it's all right. Bring him on.
Yeah. So, she tells me that, that she's been, things move around her and things happen, and she sees like these shadow beings that, appear to her. And so it's like it's in the middle of the night, and it's like the house just gets really, really cold all of a sudden. And Stacy is like, Rick, they're here. So I walk in there and I start speaking harshly to this thing. I mean, I made speaking harshly to spirits, provoking spirits. I made it popular before, these guys on TV did all this stuff. And all of a sudden this black mass just appears in front of me and then shoves me to the ground.
Holy shit.
Now
you're a fucking magnet for this stuff, Rick. This stuff finds you, brother. Wow.
So, well, it doesn't find me. I was looking for it. I really didn't believe.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, that's
what
true.
was going on. But I know that a lot of people would be like, "Oh, wow, this is you dealt with a demon." I'm going to pump the brakes on that one a little bit, because here's what I think was going on. I wasn't dealing with a spirit. I wasn't dealing with a demon. What I believe, and I will fight tooth and nail for, I do believe that I was dealing with a poltergeist, which is recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. It is a out of control psychic energy that comes from a person when they're going through, some kind of great struggle or trouble in their life. Usually it's associated with girls and boys who are going through puberty. This girl was 16 years old at the time. And the being, let's call it being, that appeared in front of me was something that was created by her. It was a thought form that she had created. And she must have felt as if she was being threatened. Therefore, she more or less sicked this thought form on me. So, I mean, I really do believe that is what I was dealing with. So it's like my very first investigation is something that even many seasoned ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, whatever you choose to call it, parapsychologists, they wait for their entire careers to deal with. This was my first investigation.
Holy shit. Talk about getting thrown to the fucking cast into the fire, Rick. Wow.
Yeah, so it's like baptism by fire. Exactly, that's the way I say it. And so it's like, hey, I got a pretty good start in all of this. I mean, I had a very positive interaction when I was a little kid. My first investigation was with a poltergeist. So, it's like, since then I've always, been involved with investigating private homes. I oftentimes joke, if I'm in your house, it's because you wanted me there. Like, I absolutely refuse to pay or play. I will not do that. I will not go into a place and lay down a couple $100 to spend the night in a place just to investigate a place that's been done 100 times over. I like doing private homes. I think that is where the real investigative work as a ghost hunter is done. So.
Son of a bitch, a man after my own heart. That's one thing I preach a lot. Like, I love the historical places, and I love it, but I mean, enough with the Conjuring House, enough with the fucking Lizzie Borden, enough. All these places are great, but you're paying all these people hundreds of dollars just to hear the same bump that they all hear. There's so many places that are untapped, and so many people that need help. And me and Heather did a home case, actually. We're still kind of on it, so to speak. We haven't really got a hold of them because they kind of stopped talking to us. I think they were busy in COVID. Of course, COVID happened. But we're talking about them. This fucking dude was sitting in his truck every night and watching people march by his house. He goes, I'm out in my truck at night trying to smoke a cigarette before I go to bed. And the old lady's inside. I can't smoke inside, so I smoke outside and warm up in the truck. And there's soldiers or something. People's shadows walking by me, he says. Yeah. These guys need help, and they're willing to pay you, and I won't accept it. But fuck paying people to do that stuff. Why? Like you say, it's cool to see shit, but I love that. Rick, real quick.
Yes.
Brother, the chat is lighting up because someone spilled the beans about the V word, and not vagina, vampires.
The vampires. I love me a good
Are
vampire.
vampires real? Nicole asks, and King says they are, but in Europe. King asks if vampires are real. I've actually been to the Richmond vampire's grave. Have you heard about that in Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there.
I've heard of it. I've heard of it, but I don't know the details concerning it.
I call bullshit. Supposedly this is a whole story. If you want to hear it real quick, I'll just real quick spill the spotlight. Sure. There's a cavern. It's an old train tunnel, and it's actually that's a marker too, because like 20 workers died because it collapsed. And as it collapsed, I know this. Yes, someone was coming out with fangs and blood, and they chased him to the cemetery tomb and sealed them in there in Richmond.
Yeah. Yep.
And yes. So that I don't. And of course, there's also this one in Connecticut where the girl was buried with a stake in her heart because her brothers and shit died, and when they dug her up, she was still like her body was still hot after being dead for like 5 months. But let's talk about what you're into, brother. I want to talk about your shit. I want to talk about the vampires in Ireland. Like you say, the ones that roam with the fairies and the leprechauns and the banshees. That's the shit you're into. Let's talk that shit.
So let's clear something up about vampires to begin with, okay?
Sure.
Vampires that we see in movies, okay? That is a completely made up thing for movies.
Thank you.
Okay, so real, like, and I'm saying with it, air quotes here. I know people can't see that, but real vampires of folklore are a little bit closer to The Walking Dead than they are to, Bela Lugosi or the Lost Boys or well, actually closer to Nosferatu than Edward
That's
Cullen.
true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Right. Because vampires didn't have fangs. All their teeth were sharp, they say, supposedly. Because you used to bite onto a neck, you didn't rely on. That was for Hollywood looks and the sex appeal and shit. Vampires aren't sexy. Right. They're very demonic, very fucking hardcore. Well, go ahead. You talk. I want you to talk.
I wouldn't say demonic. I would say, what they were an animated corpse, so to speak, that rose from the grave to for either, revenge or to spread disease. Like disease was is a major theme throughout all vampiric folklore. And the vampires of Ireland, the two of them that I've written about is the I got to say it slowly so I pronounce it correctly. The Dara Dua and Abertach, which are also known as the Niameb. And these are two that are a little bit closer to our Hollywood version of the vampires. So we'll start with the Dara Gadue. And the Dara Gadue came from Waterford, which is a very, very ancient part of Ireland. And according to the story, a young woman, she fell in love with somebody who was below her station in life. She was the daughter of the chieftain. Now, allegedly, this story occurred before the arrival of Christianity in Ireland. So they were very much still involved with their folklore and their gods and their deities and their spirits.
Yeah, the pagan beliefs, the old school. Yeah,
exactly. The old ways.
Yeah, buddy.
As some of my Wiccan or witch friends like to call it. And so she fell in love with this young man who was below her station in life, and her dad would not have it. So he actually had the young man killed and married her off to a guy who was decades older than her and was cruel and abusive. So she did the only thing that she could think of to get out of being married to this guy and, getting out from underneath her father's abusive ways. She climbed to the tallest tower and took a leap and killed herself.
Fucking A, man. This is like a fairy tale. This is literally like a fairy tale, like Romeo and Juliet, but demented. Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow. So suicide is also a thing that plays a major theme in all stories of vampirism, especially from Eastern Europe. So he took her body, buried her underneath Strongbow's tree, which still stands today in Waterford. and she rose from the grave as a Daragdue and
Oh,
went on a killing spree. You know, killed her father, killed this abusive husband, and then she was able to rest and go back and finally be done with it. But that is like the vengeance component of this, of this Irish vampire. The second one is a Niamh, which means the undead, and it's the story of Abertac. Abertac was a dictator, and he was a tyrant, and he victimized his people that he ruled over. One day they were like, you know what, we're done with this shit. We're gonna kill you. So they kill him, and he raises from the grave as one of the undead or the Niamh, and he starts, going on a killing spree, taking out the people that killed him. So finally, they fashioned a sword made of yew wood, drove it through his heart, and then beheaded him. And
man.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that that's where the idea of driving a wooden stake through the heart of a vampire comes from. So, a lot of people are always like, Bram Stoker or Sheridan Le Fanu, who wrote Carmilla, which actually predates Dracula. They think that like Bram Stoker got his idea of the vampire from the faraway Carpathian Mountains. That's not it at all. The only thing that he had was that he was a Romanian nobleman from the Carpathian Mountains. That's where it ends. So he
Son of
had,
a bitch. Fucking Lord Vigo, man.
This Irish folklore to fall back on, and that's where him and Sheridan Le Fanu got their inspiration for their vampires from.
Wow. And even what's the girl that wrote Interview with a Vampire with fucking what's her Anne Rice, right? I mean, all these things are loosely based on things like you say, the wooden stake. Like I'm sure garlic has something to fucking do with something to an extent of somewhere. If you go all the way back, I mean, even if you look at Dracul, son of Dragon, that's Vlad the Impaler. He was Dracul, Dracula, and that was really he put stakes in people's assholes, came out their mouth. That's no shit. He would put the stake right through the fucking dude's asshole, all the way through their fucking pit, all the way out their mouth, and leave them there. Best Halloween decoration person ever.
But here's the thing about Vlad Dracul or Vlad Tepes. Dracul was it was more of a title than being his family name. But or Vlad the Impaler, he's actually considered a hero in Romania because he
fed the poor.
What?
Didn't he feed the poor? Didn't he go around giving out chickens? And didn't he like the old politicians? Didn't he like take care of the like the poor people and shit? Didn't he like feed them?
He did. But he was very much considered a Christian hero because he held back, the Ottomans and the other, Islamic armies from the east. But it's like, he was also a bloody tyrant and somewhat of a dictator. And if you disrespected him, there's a story about a visiting dignitary who came to his court and disrespected him, and he actually nailed his turban to his head.
Oh my God, brutal.
But Vlad never actually drank human blood. So he wasn't like a bloodthirsty person. I'm absolutely certain. There is no.
I thought he did for like the vitamin. Didn't he do it for like the iron deficiency or some bullshit? I could have sworn he did. Or isn't there some? Isn't there some chick vampire that bathed in human blood to make her younger or something? I thought.
Well, there was Countess Elizabeth Bathory. She was a severe schizophrenic. Also, too, the royal families back then had a tendency to intermarry with things like cousins. So, she had, so she was more than likely inbred. She was, a lot of people nowadays would consider her to be severely bipolar or schizophrenic. And she honestly believed, after having an encounter with a servant girl, got the servant's girl blood on her hand, and she's like, oh wow, well, this makes my hand look, younger. So then she again, another one, she goes on a killing spree, believing that this blood bathing in this virginal blood somehow makes her younger. And obviously it didn't. She was arrested, put on house arrest, bricked up in her bedroom, and she eventually died. Went
Wow.
completely insane. So it's like, and again, that's another one where people are like, well, she drank blood. Well, there are some reports that she may have, but mostly she bathed in it because, to her mind, suffering from mental illness, she believed that this made her younger. But
Wow. It's almost like a gothic version of bathing in milk, like they used to do. It makes your skin
sure,
feel good or whatever. And
yeah,
I think that's cool that you verified that, because I know I didn't make that shit up. I've heard of you're a little bit more of a pro on that shit, but I've heard of this shit, and it's cool because I think people listening are gonna dig the shit. Because like I said, this isn't movie stuff. He's talking, guys. I know you guys like the Lost Boys and all that shit. What Rick's talking about is actual folklore. This isn't Hollywood bullshit. This is real
yeah,
folklore. We did have some more real quick. Let me
sure.
see. Someone asked if you have anything, if you believe that anything is. Ross asked if you've ever read anything about like the werewolf, like werewolves or anything. You think it's intertwined at all? Because there's a lot of werewolves
You
in
know,
London as well, not just because of the song. But
werewolf, and any kind of were creature or werewolf or whatever, that again, that's another one that can be found in folklore going back thousands of years. In the Greek, according to Greek mythology, not even really so much Greek mythology, there was a tribe of shapeshifters called the Nuri who actually competed at the very first Olympics in Athens
wow,
in Greece.
sorry,
And
holy
like,
shit,
yeah, I
that's
mean,
wild.
they took, you know, the place by storm, took everything. I mean, they walked away because, they had enhanced skills because they were shapeshifters. There is a story that is written in the Satyricon, about how, the author of the Satyricon, he met a man at a wedding in Greece, and they took a walk out in the moonlight, and suddenly this man, this new friend of his, turns into a wolf and runs
Oh,
off into the forest. And yes, so I mean, there is a lot of folklore concerning, people who are able to shapeshift. But again, when it comes to Hollywood, Hollywood kind of has made up that whole, they, the light of the full moon, and they turn into a werewolf. And actually, concerning with real mythology and real folklore concerning shapeshifters, werewolves, these are people who were able to obtain their wolf or animal form through magic or a pact with Satan, so to speak. We're talking about medieval Europe here, which, there were demons and Satan all over the place. And
witchcraft. My
yeah,
my mind
or
instantly
even
went to
even
witches.
witchcraft.
So, yeah, it went to drowning the witches, hanging the witches, burning the witches in Europe. It's all intertwined. Boy, Rick Hale, guys, I feel like I'm talking to a friend. I forgot we got a live audience of people that are listening. This will be on YouTube tomorrow. This will be on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor FM, Facebook, YouTube, the whole nine. Rick Hale is an author. He's a cancer survivor. And I want to keep pushing the word amputee because I don't want to be disrespectful at the same time. It needs to be said because the knowledge this fucking man has and the disabilities he has does not hold him back. Like you said earlier, robot leg.
Thank
I
you.
love your sense of humor, Rick. You're very knowledgeable. Seriously, man, this is we got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I want to talk about so much shit. I'll have to have you on the podcast. Maybe I'll have you and Steven on as a visual podcast on some day. But I got to ask you for now.
Are you sure about that?
I'd love to see your face, silly guy. Hey,
We'll be
real
just for
quick,
ratings.
where where can people? Let's plug some shit before. I mean, we got 15 minutes, but still, where can people find your shit? Go ahead and plug away all your stuff, please. Both pages, paranormal. What is it? Paranormal Explorer, right? And everything, just everything. The ghost, everything. Let's plug away.
So I mean, you can find me at paranormalstudy.com. I'm a regular contributor, as well as a regular contributor for spookyisles.com as well. I show up every once in a while in paranormalunderground.net. That's actually where I got my start in doing podcasting and as a writer. Always give them the credit for that. That's where I got my start. Currently, I have 3 books out now. And the first one is The Geek's Guide to the Strange and Unusual, Poltergeist, Ghosts, and Demons. The second one is called Behold, Shocking True Tales of Terror and Some Other Spooky Stuff, which is a memoir. It's my own personal investigations and some of the things that I've learned along the way. The third book is called Bullets, Booze, and Babes, The Haunted History of Chicago and Illinois. And I have a 4th book coming out this October, and it is called Ghostwatch. So I'm kind of like doing this whole like media thing. And if you want, you can, find us on YouTube with the Shadow Initiative Paranormal Talking TV. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your podcasting fix, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, I think it's called. Basically anywhere where you find podcasts, you will find us there.
I love that. And you can find them on the Shadow Initiative with Stephen Lancaster and Rick Hale. You'll find the Ghostwatch videos there. You'll find links, all the shit. For those of you listening, I was actually their guest at one point, and I get to have their
you were.
Yeah, I was. They get to have their female on. She does like a British accent. She goes, Adam Began of Historically Haunted. I was like, oh, that's fucking dope. I got a British chick saying my name. A lot of guys like that shit for porn. They look at British chicks. So I felt pretty cool about that.
Can I share a little secret with you about that voice?
Oh, please.
It's completely made up by a computer. That is not a real person.
Rick,
sorry,
you ruined
man.
my fantasy, Rick. Fuck.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah,
it
is a computer-generated voice.
Oh, fuck that. Ross, cut that out. We're not playing that. I'm just kidding. It's live. I can't. This will be on YouTube. This will be on all the good stuff, just like Rick. And also, too, we mentioned earlier Tim Woolsworth. I don't talk to super lot, but Tim Woolsworth is part of Paranormal Study. He actually sent me a T-shirt when I was in my car accident last year. And you roll with Tim, and of course he's like not in the same area as you, but you guys kind of work on the same shit. And that's how actually I get to know you. Tim referenced me to you. He knew I was a big Chicago fan. And actually I got a question earlier from Nicole. Nicole has a lot of good questions, and I'm sorry, Nicole, I can't get to them all right away. But she asked if you've been to the Bachelor's Grove Cemetery where the mobsters are buried in Chicago.
I have been, yeah, I have. I don't think there's any mobsters buried there, but yes, I've been to Bachelor's Grove many, many times. It is my absolute favorite haunted place in the Chicagoland area.
I hear a lot about that place. Yeah,
caught an amazing EVP there. Maybe 11 or 12 years ago. I was there with an old ghost hunting partner of mine and a friend of hers, and I catch this voice recording in the middle of the cemetery, and it just says, "Let the motherfucker feel the pain."
Oh, heavy metal lyric. That sounds like a typo negative lyric.
Yeah, plain as day. Like I even played it for my wife. My wife, she believes in this stuff, but it's like, she's like, yeah, whatever, But she heard it too, and so here's the deal, with Bachelor's Grove, why it has like this mobster connection. So back in the 1920s and 1930s, the South Side was the domain of Al Capone. He ran the South Side gang. So a lot of people believe that he took snitches and stoolies and enemies and stuff like that out there to what is now the Rubio Woods Forest Reserve, and took care of them. There's allegedly bodies that So there are allegedly bodies that are at the bottom of this retention pond that sits just outside the cemetery along the Midlothian Turnpike, and there's supposed to be bodies that are in there. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I caught a snitch or an enemy getting whacked. It was a very, very cool EVP. One of the clearest and one of the best I've ever collected.
That's a good one. Do you think it's because of your mediumship? Do you think it's because you're sensitive and you at such a young age you've just been linked? And like I was gonna say earlier, most people in their 20s and 30s are out getting drunk and fucking girls and shit like that. And you're over there studying cases on paranormal. I love that. You've been a deep rooted in this since It's the 80s. It's 82. So most people don't even know what the
Yeah.
Ghostbusters weren't even out yet. This is your love. This is your passion. Of course, you got family and friends, the whole nine, but you really love what you do. I mean, this is big for
I
you.
do.
I want to touch on one of my personal favorite things, even though I know it sounds fucking fucked up. And you'll know right away what I'm talking about when I say these two words: serial killer. In Chicago, who comes to mind in Chicago? I'll give you a hint. There's a post office there now.
Oh, absolutely. H.H. Holmes.
Oh, I've been to his home in Gilmington, New Hampshire. I've been to his childhood home. I got a brick. The current owner gave me a brick. She goes, "Don't do any satanic cults rituals with it." I go, "I won't, ma'am." I still get the brick. I went and visited one day about 4 years ago in my Mustang, and she was redoing the walkway. She goes, "You were here for HH?" I go, "Yes, Herman Howard Holmes. Herman Webster Mudgett, technically." And right across the street's the church he attended, the school he attended, Gilmington Academy. But his murder castle, which is seen on a lot of American Horror Story, a lot of movies, was in Chicago, and now it's a post office. You must have gone. You must know all about HH.
It was in the Inglewood neighborhood, which is on the near south side of Chicago. It's not really a neighborhood I get down to because I'm like, totally a north side boy. But yeah, it was. It's a post office now.
Yeah.
And people at the post office, they will tell you the place isn't haunted, but people who are working there by themselves or even late at night, sorting mail coming in early, will say that, yeah, there's something strange going on here. Like we hear voices or footsteps. And it's like, how could there not be something that has remained there? Considering
he gassed people, he burned people alive, he gassed them and then burned them while they were passed out and dead. I mean, he literally during the World's Fair and shit, while people out there celebrating, he's getting girls to. Well, you guys know the story. I mean, wow, holy fuck! I'm intrigued by that. Like even the river, where people have dumped, supposedly all like what are they called? The old Stockyard River, where people dump bodies of animals and shit. So I guess it stinks. They call it the Bubbling River or Bubble River or something. I've read all about it.
Yeah, we lived in what's now called New City. It's the back of the yards in Canaryville on the near south side. My dad lived in back of the yards for about 6 months, and back of the back of the yards neighborhood, and lived there for about 6 months. And it's very strange, but there were times where if you kind of like listened, you could hear what sounded like animals. And that was one of the things that people in the back of the yards neighborhood, talked about, that you could hear like the ghostly sounds of pigs squealing as they're being slaughtered. And I mean, sure enough, you're out there late at night and it's quiet and the L's not running and there's no cop cars that are racing through, racing through New City. And because, basically we take care of our own in New City. But yeah, you could hear what sounds like animals crying or screaming or squealing. It's very, very strange.
I tell you, man, I've heard a lot of stories about ghost cats, ghost dogs, ghost birds, things that have souls. I know not plants and shit. I know they're supposed to be alive, but these little creatures that have souls. Dude, the Stockyard, for those of you who don't know, in Chicago is known for a lot. It's middle America. It's known for like basically the crossroads. There's big train yards everywhere. But back in the day, there were stockyards, they call them, and they just slaughtered these fucking cattle and chickens and pigs. And it was literally meat city. And they say you could smell it for miles. They dumped it in the river, and the river used to bubble because of all the fat and acid.
Oh, God, yeah. It was,
and it's,
boy.
I've
the
read
river's still pretty gross.
Chicago's my Graceland, brother. I mean, aside from the Bears, like I want to go. Sears Tower at Point is one of the world's largest buildings. The water fountain from Married with Children, and of course Gaudi, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre alleyway. Wow,
First off, allow me to just say this. Thank you for calling it Sears Tower and not Willis Tower. That is a huge
Willis Tower
thing with us Chicagoans. It's like Willis Tower. I don't know what you're talking about, but the Sears Tower
Sears Tower, and it's the tallest building in North America, second sideways. I don't always remember Chicago as the best city in the fucking world, and I've never been. You know what's pretty cool? Real quick, during the World's Fair, the H.H. Holmes committed one of the most, obviously America's first documented serial killer. There was a house there built from Maine because they've always, as you know, the World's Fair. For those you don't know, they would. It was a big thing back in the day, and they'd bring designs from different states and stuff up. Well, they had a granite house and wood house called the State House from Maine. It was built with all Maine stuff, and the owner Hiram Ricker, the owner of Poland Spring Water, the Poland Spring Resort, he bought that house there and had it trained back to Maine where it was built. And he was at the World's Fair, and I've been to that place, and they have an H.H. Holmes exhibit inside the World State Fair thing in Maine on Poland Spring. It's pretty neat because Hiram Ricker haunts it. Sonny Liston stayed there when he lost to Muhammad Ali back in the 60s. And there's an H.H. Holmes exhibit inside the State House because it was at the World's Fair. So it's tied in. It's pretty neat. I know it's a dumb thing, but I had to bring it up because it's cool.
Okay. No, Chicago is a beautiful city. It's got its problems. But we do love our ghosts. I was just in the city yesterday. Photography is also a passion of mine. And
I saw the bean. I saw the big bean, brother. I saw you posting pictures. I was liking them. I saw the bean, the fountain. What else did I see? I think the main the Chicago Aquarium. I think you got to go to Soldiers Field for me and take a selfie so I can be jealous. I got to get out to fucking Soldiers Field. That is the only stadium that's not like Tampax Stadium or fucking Douche Stadium. It's literally dedicated to the soldiers of America. Walter Payton played there. Walter Payton played at Wrigley Field. I'm a White Sox fan myself. I love Frank Thomas. And I love Sammy Sosa, and I love Mark Grace and Ryan Sandberg, though.
Yeah, my wife is. She grew up in Buffalo Grove, and that's where Walter Payton lived. And you can drive by Payton's Field, and she used to say that, you can drive by Payton's Field. She used to say that you would see Walter Payton running up this hill, rain, snow, hot as hell outside, didn't matter. He ran up and down this hill every single day.
And he would bring Olympic stars and professional wrestlers and other football players, and they'd be throwing up. They couldn't make it, and he'd be up. Fucking Walter Payton was one of the best football players in life. I don't just say that because I love him. I cried for 3 days when he died of cancer. That fucking ruined me. I got a Chicago. I got a Bears tattoo on my right arm. I got an orange C, man, right on my right arm. I've been a Bears fan since they beat the Patriots. I was 5 years old in 1986. Everybody in my family was rooting for the stupid Patriots, and I rooted for the Bears. I felt bad, and we destroyed them. The refrigerator rocked, and that was it, bro. We're at 9 minutes. I want to talk a little bit more real quick. Let's talk real quick about banshees and vampires in England and where that all started. What do you want to talk about real quick? We got about 5 minutes we can go over.
The folklore of the United Kingdom and Ireland, it's a folklore that's like nobody knows where it came from. Nobody can say with any certainty. And I mean, it goes back tens of thousands of years to the people that lived in the area. And one of the really interesting things that about that, when Christianity arrived in that area of the world, they demonized their pantheon of gods and goddesses and spirits. Cernunnos, who was the Lord of the Hunt, he was always represented as having red skin and horns. So a lot of people seem to think that we get our idea of what Satan looks like from Cernunnos as well as from Pan.
That's like a Halloween costume. From. Yeah.
Wow. So it's like that's kind of like where our Western idea of that kind of thing comes from. So it's like, where am I going with this? But like our idea of demons do come from ancient Babylon and Sumeria and Mesopotamia. And, it's like when Christianity rolled into these new areas, they had a tendency to demonize their pantheons of gods and goddesses. And that's kind of what happened in Ireland and in the Celtic world. I myself am both Welsh and Irish, so it's like I'm pure Celt. So, they have all these legends, and they're all very tied, very close together, and it's like I love reading these stories. I've loved these stories since I was a child. Hearing about Finn McCool, and the Banshee and the Leprechaun. My grandfather used to tell an interesting story when we were kids about how a leprechaun stole his clothes, and he lived in Cincinnati. He was out fishing. He was out fishing one day and tried to capture the leprechaun, and he caught him. But then the leprechaun, tricked him and stole my grandfather's clothes. So it's kind of funny because the story almost has like a punchline. My grandfather had to walk home naked, and when he gets to the house, my great grandmother is waiting for him, and she's like, William Mulligan Weiss, how many times do I have to tell you not to trouble yourself with those little people? So it's like, yeah. So it's like I've always loved that story. Now a lot of people will be like, "Oh, that story's bullshit. Do you believe it?" And it's like, yeah, I do.
Fucking right. Hey, goddamn it! I believe in everything from the Loch Ness Monster to black-eyed kids to fucking fairies to pygmy people to leprechauns. I got funny. I like a leprechaun ceramic thing I bought because I love leprechauns and I have a little bit of Irish too, and even banshees, which is a wild fuck. We're gonna get going soon. We're 5 over, but I could talk another hour for you. I'm gonna have you on the vodcast or the show again soon. Or I'm gonna come on your show, one or the other. We're gonna keep talking, okay. Rick, because honestly, dude, I love my guests, but half the time I don't know what the fuck to ask them. This whole hour flew by to the point to where it's very, very incredible. Your knowledge and your strength, everything you've overcome. People were so impressed with it. And even without that, I don't want to say, well, he's got cancer and he's an amputee, so well, he's nice. No, dude, even beyond that shit, because no one can see that through this monitor. You are very knowledgeable, very respectful, and you're right on the ball. And not to mention, you're a big Typo Negative fan.
I am, yeah. It's I have been addicted to their music since the first time I heard Blood and Fire off of Bloody Kisses.
God damn, what an album. That whole fucking album, My Girlfriend's Girlfriend. Is that?
Yeah,
that's the album, right?
Well, no, that's October Rust.
Oh, no, it's October Rust. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I love Christmas Morning. Oh my God, what a song! I make me cry every time.
Yeah, October Rust is. I like all their albums, but October Rust is by far my favorite Typo album. Like I bought that thing
Cinnamon
Girl.
Dude. I mean, World Coming Down was great too. That's the tour I met Peter Steele on. World Coming Down. They came to Lewiston, Maine, and I knocked the Ramada indoor. They came to Cold Chamber. Oh, it was cool. 6'8" at the door. He's like, "Can I help you?" I go, "Oh, sign my Friendly's coupon." I had a Friendly's ice cream, a little ice cream coupon. I still got it. He wrote Peter Steele with a 0 and a negative sign through the 0. Oh, negative. I still have it in front. Oh no shit. Peter Steele, 6'8".
I am jealous.
Dude, he fucking shook my hand. He was like Andre the Giant. Biggest fucking person personally I've ever seen and talked to in my life. And he answered the hotel door with a goddamn phone in his hand, a fucking dial phone. It was 1999, I think, 98. World Coming Down tour. Yeah. They played Everyone I Love Is Dead and Everything Dies and fucking holy moly. What an album. What a phenomenal voice. Sounds like it's funny you're into vampires. I always said he sounded like a vampire. You know what I mean? Like Bloody Kisses and his fangs, and she's in love with herself. She loves the dark. Oh, with his fucking Italian Brooklyn accent. Oh boy.
I like to think that Peter didn't die. He just had to disappear.
Oh, you're the fucking man. You're a vampire because you love vampires. What's your favorite vampire lore thing? What's your of course the Italian island, you've heard of that, where they're buried with bricks in their mouths.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I'd have to say that my favorite vampiric folklore would come from the the Eastern European Slavic lands. The Peter Blagojevich, for example, in the 18th century, definitely one of my favorite. And but one of the more recent ones that I really, really like is I just did it for Ghost Watch. I call it The Second Death of Peter Toma. And this didn't just happen in like ancient history in like the 1700s. This vampire hunt and grave desecration happened in 2003. In the small town of Meritanu de Sus in Romania. Yeah, they believed that Peter Toma was coming back from the dead as a strigoi. And a strigoi
Oh,
basically means bloodsucker. That's like their actual word for a vampire. Vampire is, again, is a Hollywood or literary invention. But they believed that he was a strigoi and that he was raising from the grave every night to spread disease and to feed on family and friends and neighbors and stuff like that. So a bunch of guys got together, led by a gentleman named Giorgio Montesquieu, and they actually dug him up, ripped his heart out of his chest, burned it, and chopped his head off.
God damn.
But
God.
here's the thing. Now,
Wow.
here's the thing about this. Giorgio Marinescu and all of his cohorts, there were 6 of them, were all arrested and brought up on charges of grave desecration. Because this was at a time when Romania was just coming out from under the Ceausescu regime from communism, and they were becoming a member of the European Union at the time. So they had to do something about this because they didn't want people to think, well, Romania is full of people living in the past and superstitious peasants. So they actually gave all of these people 6-month suspended sentences, and like time served basically, and let them go. So it's like these beliefs are still very much present in certain areas of the world. And Romania, being a very modern country, they got Wi-Fi there. So, and smart cars and stuff like that, and smartphones. So, it's like these things, people still believe this stuff. This folklore and these ancient beliefs still very much alive.
Well, they still very much embrace the castle. I know people can do tours and rent it out. They very much embrace the legacy, which I guess goes back to Nicole's question earlier. If you think that vampires are still around in modern times, she also asked if you think there's a vampires in America. Of course, there are. I mean, there's witches in Salem. Supposedly, there's vampires in New Orleans that have the fangs and make. But do you think there's actual legit vampires and/or like werewolves on American soil these days, or is it all in Europe still, or is it just scattered? I guess. It's hard to say.
I met a girl once, and it was a long time ago. There is a nightclub here in Chicago called Exit, and it's on North Avenue. And I met a girl there one night when I was there with a friend, and we were just talking, listening to music. She's not drinking anything, she's not smoking anything, and she had a quality about her that seemed almost. She's very attractive, very good-looking young woman, but she had a quality. I don't really remember, but
well, let's just say they are. Just say they're good size.
Yeah, she's a very attractive young woman, and
I like that. Go ahead. Yeah.
She had a kind of a dreamy quality about her. That it was like it seemed like she really wasn't human, I guess you could say. And, I conversed with her for a few minutes, and I got a really weird feeling from her, and she just went away. Her name was Hazel, which is kind of a weird thing that you don't really meet too many Hazels these days.
Oh.
But I always have kind of wondered, was she a supernatural creature of some kind? Hanging out at this, goth punk industrial club on the north side of Chicago. I don't know. But
you fucking question everything. I love
strange.
that. You question everything, man, because nothing's off the table, dude. I mean, from skinwalkers to shapeshifters. All right, Ross is giving me the boot. It's got a couple minutes left. I just want to ask one thing real quick because I'm a wrestling fan, and there's a guy. It's Demort Fergal or something like that. It's his real name. He's from Ireland, but he goes by the name Finn Balor, which is actually like a demon and a person that battles the demon. Like Finn is one and Balor is the other. Have you ever heard of that in Ireland descent? Finn and/or Balor?
I've heard of Finn McCool. Finn McCool is a giant and a deity that figures in the folklore of Ireland. but the Ballard, and I've never heard of that one.
Ballor, and I think the O may have two dots over it. But he's a wrestler guy, and they say he's always, because he's from Ireland. He's from, I think, was he from Dublin or something? And they go, they go Finn Balor. They go Finn is something, and Balor is something, and he goes by the name of the Demon. Sometimes he comes out and they say it's his alter ego, but he's very much Irish. So I wasn't sure if you knew about that. I was dying to ask you that. As a personal
I'll have to look that one up. I'm not really a wrestling fan, so it's like I'm not really familiar.
I'm watching it right now as we speak. Yeah, let me know, because I figured you knew the Finn part. That's got to be it, because he took the name from each. Each just got two names, but he took the Finn from one. So Balor must be something Balor or Balor something. So do some background search and send me a message if you don't mind. I'd love to check it out. But Rick Hale, man, it's been a fucking pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
This hour flew by. I'll have to have you back on. That's going to be something, obviously, it's a no-brainer. So, yeah, man, check his shit out. He is the man. I'm so awestruck by the information you've been shooting out. The Shadow Initiative podcast with his partner, Stephen Lancaster. Partner as in not like a relationship partner, but like partner or co-host.
Yeah.
With Rick Hale. This is also the Ghost Watch. And you'll find me, Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, on YouTube, Historically Haunted on YouTube, Historically Haunted Show, Paranormal King Radio, and Historically Haunted Vodcast on StreamYard. It's my independent thing. Check me out, man. I just went to a couple cool places. Went to a couple Stephen King filming sites. I went to the Pet Cemetery, where he played the Reverend in the original Pet Cemetery movie in 1985, I believe. And I went to that. It's in Bangor, Maine. It's America's second oldest garden cemetery, Mount Hope. And I get to go to that spot. So check me out. Check out Rick Hale's shit and learn some cool shit. It's been a pleasure, Rick. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Well, real quick, is there anything anybody can expect you in the future? What can we expect you next week, next month, or anything this coming year? Any exhibitions or any new videos?
We got something going on. We can't talk about it just yet. But as soon as Stephen and I hate to be like all vague and mysterious and all that, but we kind of sort of have to in this situation. All I could say is that you'll be seeing more of our ugly mugs in the future.
Follow them, get more info, find them everywhere. Rick, it's been a pleasure, brother. We got to go. 15 minutes
Thanks,
over this hour. We'll talk to you soon. We'll stay posted and have a great night. All right.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And thanks, Paranormal King. Thank you, historians. Stay good and go out and explore. Rick Hale, Adam Began, Adam the Historian Ghost Center. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hello, this is Adam Began, and I'm the host of Historically Haunted Show, where I talk about some very rare historical and haunted locations that I visited. I also interview some of the very best in the paranormal and cryptozoology field. So tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Paranormal King Radio Network. And prepare to be educated about the unknown.